Picture this. You are standing on the edge of a cliff. The sun is dropping toward the horizon, painting everything in shades of orange and gold. Below you, whitewashed buildings cascade down volcanic rock into a sea so blue it looks almost artificial. Behind you, crowds of people have gathered, all facing the same direction, completely silent, waiting. And in that moment, you understand exactly why people travel. Greece does this to people. It breaks them in the best possible way. It takes everything you thought you knew about beauty and history. And today, we are going deep into the most extraordinary places this country has to offer. Not just the famous ones, but the hidden ones. We are talking about ancient ruins that will make the hairs on your arms stand up, and monasteries perched on top of rock pillars. So, let us get into it. Starting with the one that started everything, Athens, the city where Western civilization essentially switched on. Most people arrive here expecting a museum. What they find instead is a living, breathing, chaotic, beautiful, contradictory city. Standing at the base of that rocky hill, beginning that walk upward, and then cresting the top to suddenly find yourself face to face. This building was constructed around 447 BC. That is nearly 2,500 years ago, and it is still standing. The Erechtheion, with its famous porch of the Caryatids, where 6 sculpted female figures serve as columns, is arguably even more artistically complex. And then you turn around and look out over Athens, and the city stretches in every direction, a massive, noisy, sprawling urban landscape. Down in the neighborhoods around the Acropolis, the energy shifts. Plaka, the oldest residential neighborhood, where you can eat dinner in a taverna. Let us jump to something completely different, something that will challenge your understanding of what is architecturally possible. Meteora. Imagine enormous pillars of gray sandstone rock rising straight up from a flat plain. Perched on top, almost impossibly, are monasteries. The name Meteora actually means suspended in air. Monks began building here in the 14th century, seeking isolation and spiritual purity. Visiting Meteora at sunrise or sunset is something you need to add to your list. The light hits those rock formations in theatrical ways. Now, from the mountains of central Greece to the island that has appeared in more dream vacation boards than almost anywhere else. Santorini. Santorini is not just a pretty place. It is a geological drama. The island is actually the remnant of one of the largest volcanic eruptions. The prehistoric site of Akrotiri, sometimes called the Pompeii of the Aegean, is a Minoan Bronze Age settlement preserved under volcanic ash. Let us head north to an island that might be the most naturally beautiful place I have ever been. Corfu. The old town of Corfu, Kerkyra, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Walking through its narrow streets, the Venetian influence is everywhere. Paleokastritsa on the western coast of Corfu is one of those places that makes you wonder. Multiple coves of turquoise water and dramatic cliffs. But let us leave the islands for a moment, because mainland Greece has wonders that most visitors never get to. Delphi, the temple of Apollo, where the oracle delivered her prophecies, stands above. Every direction you look from Delphi is spectacular. The charioteer of Delphi, a bronze figure from 478 BC, is so perfectly preserved. It is a genuinely emotional experience. Now I want to take you somewhere that most people outside of Greece have never heard of, and that I think deserves far more attention. The Mani Peninsula. This is one of the 3 finger-like peninsulas that extend south from the Peloponnese, and it is unlike anywhere else in Greece. The landscape is harsh and dramatic, rocky, arid, covered in scrub vegetation and ancient towers. The people here, the Maniots, have a reputation for fierce independence. This was one of the last parts of Greece to be conquered. The tower houses of the Mani, built from the 15th century onwards, are extraordinary. Families built towers to defend against both enemies and rival families. The villages of Vathia and Areopoli contain clusters of these grey stone towers that look like a medieval Italian hill town, but distinctly, unmistakably Greek. The Mani coastline is rugged and spectacular. The beaches here are wild and remote, often accessible only by narrow tracks. Stupa is the one Mani beach that most visitors find, with its 2 lovely sandy coves and exceptional snorkeling. The Diros caves are among the most spectacular cave systems in Europe. You enter by boat, gliding through chambers filled with stalactites and stalagmites. Cape Matapan, the southernmost point of mainland Europe, is a place where you feel the edge of things. Ancient Greeks believed Hades' entrance was here. Let us head to another island now. Crete, the largest of the Greek islands and in many ways a world unto itself. The palace of Knossos is the center of the ancient Minoan civilization, which flourished here from around 2700 BC. Walking through ruins that were already ancient when the Parthenon was being built puts the timeline of human civilization in perspective. The Samaria Gorge in the White Mountains is one of the great walks in Europe, 16 kilometers descending from mountain plateau to the Libyan Sea. Chania is frequently described as the most beautiful city in Greece. The Venetian harbor with its iconic lighthouse is genuinely photogenic. The village of Lotro on the south coast can only be reached by boat or on foot. It sits in a perfect horseshoe bay. The food on Crete deserves its own video. The island has one of the most distinctive culinary traditions in the Mediterranean. Dakos, the Cretan rusks topped with tomatoes and cheese, might be the simplest and most satisfying thing you can eat. Somewhere completely different now. Let us talk about Thessaloniki. Greece's second city is consistently beloved by everyone who actually goes there. The city has been shaped by Romans, Byzantines, Ottomans, and modern Greeks, and all those layers are visible in its streets. The Ladadika district, once the city's oil merchants' quarter, is now a neighborhood filled with restaurants and bars. The energy here is unmatched. Bugatsa, the warm pastry filled with semolina, cream or cheese, is a Thessaloniki obsession and worth waking up early for. The Anopoli, the upper town, with its wooden Ottoman-era houses and Byzantine city walls, gives you a quieter version of the city. Let us take one more island journey, Naxos. The largest island in the Cyclades delivers on everything people hope for in a Greek island. The Portara, the enormous marble doorway standing alone on a small islet, frames the sunset in a way that feels almost too perfect. Naxos town has a Venetian castle at its heart, the Castro, with its remarkable medieval tower houses and winding defensive streets. Aperanthos, built from grey marble, is a village where the streets and buildings all seem carved from a single piece of stone. The beaches on the western coast of Naxos stretch in an almost unbroken line of fine white sand and shallow turquoise water. Mount Athos is genuinely unique. This peninsula is an autonomous monastic state that has been functioning for over 1,000 years. There are 20 ruling monasteries housing a community of Orthodox Christian monks dedicated entirely to prayer and spiritual practice. Simonopetra, perched on its dramatic rocky promontory above the sea, looks like something from a dream. But beyond the art and the architecture is a quality of silence, a sense of time moving differently. Greece asks you to slow down. The ancient Greeks understood that beauty itself is a kind of truth. If you've been thinking about going to Greece, please stop thinking and start planning. These experiences are genuinely among the most powerful. The Acropolis at dawn, a sunset from Oia, the silence of Meteora on a winter morning. These remind you what it feels like to be astonished. That is what Greece offers. That is why people go back, each time discovering something they missed before. If you made it to the end, thank you. Drop a comment below telling me which of these places you want to visit most. Greece is waiting, and it has been waiting for a very long time, which means it is very good at it.